All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Radio, very excited to be chatting with an individual who competes at BKFC 57, which goes down on February the 2nd. We've got Isaac Doolittle knuckling up and towing the line against Jomi Escoboza, and great having Jomi on the show. How's your day going so far there, man?
Everything's good, you know. Got my early training in, getting a little work in now, and then before I get some more training in tonight.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this is a huge fight you have coming up here and everything like that. And I'm kind of wondering because, I mean, Isaac Doolittle has a, unique build compared to yours, as was outlined in a recent, BKFC article. Are you finding yourself working with, similar body types to kind of replicate what you're getting into here with Doolittle, or maybe not so much?
Yeah, for sure. For example, yesterday, last night, I got some sparring in with a similar build and, just working on controlling my distance. And I'm always, no matter who the opponent is, I'm always focusing on implementing my game plan, and just making sure that I implement my style into the fight and control the fight with, my style. But at the same time, exploiting all of my opponent's holes and stuff. So yeah, definitely getting a lot of different looks that are similar towards my opponent, like Isaac Doolittle, just to prepare me for the height and the distance and the control, and just being able to strike and stay out of danger.
Yeah, and a lot of other things I want to touch on with this fight, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I, didn't touch on the last one because, getting fight of the night honors there at BKFC 49 and defeating a, tough contender and, Esteban Rodriguez securing your second BKFC victory there. Obviously far more, bare knuckle fights, obviously, but what were your overall takeaways from that last fight you had there against Esteban Rodriguez?
Yeah, that last fight was tough, My goal is to never get fight of the night, because I don't want my opponents to ever hit me that much. So,
yeah, fair.
It was a tough war, man. Esteban Rodriguez, he has a very tough style to deal with. He just comes forward with pressure. And if you're not tough and you don't do the same as him, then you're just going to break. And he's, shown that time and time again. All his wins are all finishes, so it's like he breaks everybody, so to beat him, I had to show, a lot of toughness, and not only that, I took that fight, short notice at a heavier weight class while I was already cutting weight to fight at 185 pounds. So, I was already low in weight, getting, close to 185. And then when they told me that that's all they got, I was just like, you know what, forget it, whatever. At that point, I needed to fight. I haven't fight for over a year. So it was it was a tough matchup. I just, tried to bulk up as much as possible. Ended up getting myself, ended up feeling very sluggish just because I didn't put on the right, amount of weight or the right type of weight on, that I wanted to. It was more of water weight and fat than actual muscle, And then in the first round, I was gassed. I'm not even gonna lie. That fight, when I got out of the ring, my opponent, not my opponent, my coach looked at me. It was like, yo, what do you rate this fight? Or what do you rate your performance? I told him a D minus. That shit was horrible because I was gassed in the first round. But, while I'm tired and I'm hitting Esteban with some flesh shots and he's not going down, he's just coming forward and we're just, battling it out. And I'm just like, man, I have no power in my punches. Normally this should be knocking people out, being, hitting people hitting somebody this flush. I should be knocking somebody out by now. And I was just like, damn, man, I literally felt like the cartoons, when they throw a punch and it's like a fart sound.
Yeah, okay.
Bro, that's legit how I felt. I was landing flush. I'm like, God damn, this shit, I got no power. I'm gassed as fuck, but in my mind at the same time, I was just like, you got to keep coming forward. You got to keep putting pressure. you can't get your foot off the gas, you know, because this guy, that's what he does. And we can't make it look like, you know, like he's winning the fight, or can't let him just break me down like he does, you know, all his opponents. So it was just, you know, like a pressure battle.
Yeah, for sure. A great performance in its own way, but that was partly why I brought it up, because I feel like you're at your more, you know, natural weight coming down here for this next one and everything like that. Like, are you feeling that heading into this next one? I mean, you definitely have that prior history of, you know, capturing 185-pound gold, like with BYB Extreme and whatnot. Like, do you feel this is your most optimal weight as you're heading into this next one?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel so much better. I feel, you know, like a lot lighter. You know, I feel like I have a lot more movement. Everything is better. My cardio is a lot better. So it's just, you know, just feeling a lot better overall. I'll be able to, you know, have my power and my speed and everything. And then another thing that messed me up, too, is while I was gaining weight for that last fight, I wasn't able to run too much because, like, I had some problems with my knee. But thankfully, it's gone, and my knee is good. So this camp, I was able to run a lot and make sure, you know, the cardio is good and everything. But yeah, just gaining that weight for that last fight and not being able to run as much definitely tied in a big factor in the cardio wise. So yeah, fighting at this weight, you know, it just, I feel so much more lighter and how you call it, and yeah, just the cardio itself, it just feels so much better.
Yeah, and you've always struck me as a guy, too. Well, I mean, in one of our past chats, actually, you were talking about your desire for wanting to capture gold across certain companies, and just fighting a guy here in Doolittle who previously fought for that interim light heavyweight title and is also ranked pretty favorably, you know, within the top 5 right now. I would feel like this would be an exciting fight in that sense, just fighting the number 3 guy in the division, at least in as far as kind of facilitating that goal of eventually getting a BKFC title shot and all.
No, for sure. You know, it's a tough guy, highly ranked, and I believe this matchup was created, you know, to find out who's going to fight for the belt next, probably most likely against Warren. So we both fought against Warren, so, you know, whoever wins, it sets up for a pretty nice matchup in the division. Not a matchup. Well, a matchup and a rematch, because, you know, we both fought him. So, and it's a good little way to, you know, to set up the next fight after this. And yeah, man, this fight puts me one step closer to being the first undisputed champion at any weight class in bare knuckle boxing, because, you know, you can't really say, I mean, if you want to get technical with it, you know, it's like in boxing, they have 4 main belts. You know, you win all 4 of those belts in the weight class, you become undisputed. Bare knuckle boxing, let's be honest, we have BKFC number 1, BYB number 2, number 3, Valor. Valor, is it worth going to chase and get their belt to, you know, call myself undisputed? They haven't put on enough shows, so it's not really, hasn't, you know, it really has no value in it. So, you know, coming, already winning the BYB belt and coming over to BKFC, I feel like, you know, that should cement me in the history books as the first person, you know, the first 2 promotional champion at 185 pounds, and I've already became the first bare knuckle boxing champion at 185 pounds. So whenever you know we look down the road 20 years, 50 years, we say who's the first champion at 185 pounds? My name will be in the history books, and then, you know, we can start the first 2 promotions. Who knows? Maybe I can you know find a way to merge all these or have some way that these promotions can work together to where, you know, we can do these multiple belt champions and stuff like that, just like how they have it in boxing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting idea, like some sort of like unified kind of federation almost, like just, yeah, like you said, do it how they do it in glove boxing. I mean, a very intriguing notion for sure, but you kind of touched on something interesting there, like how you relayed your thoughts on how you're seeing the title picture play out. So you're ultimately, I guess, looking at it where, I mean, I feel like the writing's kind of on the wall here a bit for anyone actively following the scene, but you're thinking that lineal light heavyweight champion Lorenzo Hunt will have the belt stripped or perhaps relinquish it, and then maybe the winner of this fight fights Jared Warren thereafter. Is that about right? How you see it, I guess?
From what he said, it's looking like he's going to vacate the 85 to chase the heavyweight belt. So I mean, I guess that's the next step in the weight class. If that's the case, if you want to find the next champion, I mean, I thought that's like the easiest way to match it up.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, not overlooking this fight per se, but just one of the last times we talked, you were discussing that Jared Warren fight, and you were almost, I don't know, it seemed like you were looking at it as competitive, but still in a certain sense you were like maybe thinking you could have like adapted differently, or maybe, I guess, had a different game plan throughout. So, I mean, it would probably create a redemptive sort of thing there, or at least a chance to maybe, you know, get another crack at that, maybe implement a different game plan and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that fight, like, you know, my biggest thing where I critique myself is that I was way too relaxed that fight and didn't have, like, an urgency to, you know, to fight in a hometown fighter. Because, you know, when you're at somebody else's house, they could just breathe and the whole crowd goes crazy. And you have to, you know, like, put the pressure, and you have to, you know, beat the hometown guy. Kind of like how you have to take the belt from the champion. So that fight, I didn't fight with any urgency. I was too relaxed, fighting, walking backwards, letting him press forward. Now, I threw more punches, landed more punches, did more damage. But, you know, just fighting backwards like that and only throwing single jabs. Like, I threw a couple of left hands, but wasn't even, you know, I didn't really even use my left hand like that. And, you know, I always critique myself on that. And even after the last bell of that fight, I looked down at my left hand. I'm just like, you idiot. Like, look at all the damage you did to this guy's face, and you didn't even use your left hand. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know, so I've been really, you know, pissed off at myself for that performance, and I always look back at that performance and use that as motivation. And yeah, I just can't wait to go out there, you know, rematch him and definitely finish the job, and not fuck around, and not, you know, not be too relaxed, not just be, you know, going through emotion. I have to go in there now. After that fight, my biggest thing was just coming forward, controlling the pace, and just putting pressure, control pressure.
Yeah, and it is a curious balance in that sense, because talking about the Warren fight, it's like, I could have used my left hand more, like the movement was, you know, a big part of the fight, etc. Could have, like, forced the issue more in terms of, like, encroaching forward almost. But then we were talking about the last fight, and then it's like, yeah, I don't really want it to be fight of the night, because I don't want to be out there getting hit, because that's kind of the subtext of what the whole fight of the night thing is. So a bit of a hard game to kind of strike in a certain sense.
Yeah, for sure. We always aim to get knockout of the night, you know, performance of the night, but, you know, not fight of the night, just because, you know, we don't want our opponent to touch us.
Yeah. No, fair enough, man. But something that also is a cool facet of this card, I would think, is just getting ready to, you know, fight on this card, training alongside, you know, teammate Bryce Henry. I mean, he's a lightweight and everything, but I imagine just good general vibes in the training room as you guys get ready. Seems like a guy you really put in a high regard, understandably, definitely a talented individual. So can you talk about what it's like getting ready to fight on this card with your teammate Bryce Henry also having a fight lined up for this one?
Oh, man, yeah, it's amazing, man. It's always fun it's always, you know, the best when you're fighting with teammates, because, you know, you're all grinding for, you know, to fight on the same night and, you know, celebrate together. And we always, you know, try to get the craziest finishes together and stuff like that. But yeah, man, Bryce Bryce Henry, man. He's the Baba Yaga, man. He's gonna come in and destroy everybody. There's nobody that's gonna stop him at 155 and 165. I feel bad for anybody that fights him because they're gonna feel real pain and suffer real damage. This man's like, he has the best boxing in BKFC right now. Just know that there's gonna be a lot of damage. Anybody who he fights, he should be fighting for the title after this fight.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the respective
being able to train with him as well, with his level of technique, man, it's only like helped me out so much just because there's nobody in my weight class that has his movement, speed, or technique. So it's, you know, it definitely slows things down a lot for me when it comes to fighting people my weight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely an interesting facet of the whole thing. Just, I mean, you articulated it well there. But yeah, I mean, both of you guys are in interesting positions, just the respective trajectories. I mean, who knows? I mean, by the end of 2024, if you guys have things fall into place, as I imagine you want to, could be in a couple title fights and everything, just based on where both of you are at. So it seems like exciting times for the team and everything.
Yeah, for sure, man. We're definitely planning to come out, you know, February 2nd and destroy our opponent, put on 2 big performances, and then, you know, set ourselves up to fight for the belt, hopefully on the same card, so we win the belt at the same night and just take over our weight classes. That's the goal right now, is to, you know, go out there, destroy, get our you know, viral finishes, and then, you know, try to get those title fights on the same night.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing for sure, man. And we're a little bit out from the holidays now, but I mean, the last Christmas prior to the 2023 holidays, you getting in some boxing action and stuff like that going to Russia with Elvin Brito. Did you have a more low-key Christmas this last time out? What did you get up to?
For this Christmas night, it was just, you know, just training, getting ready for, because like I already knew who I was fighting. And yeah, I've just been training because I knew I was gonna fight February 2nd. So we've just been grinding and not eating too much, not getting too fat, and just, you know, preparing for war.
No, I love to hear that, man. And I guess one other thing I wanted to touch on, I admittedly didn't know this. I don't think I touched on it at least the last time we were chatting, but I was noticed that you're involved in real estate and everything like that. Like, how long has that been going on for you and been an endeavor you've been involved in?
For about like a year and a half, and it's been good, you know, just picking up clients and working with people. I work, you know, real estate when dealing with buying, selling, leasing all over Florida. Now, I'm based out of South Florida, but I work all over Florida, working with residential properties, commercial properties, land properties. So basically everything in real estate. If you need any help, you can contact me anytime. And I always fight for my clients to get the knockout deals.
I love that. I was going to say, how many people, is there any crossover? Is there any people that are like, oh, you're Jomi Escoboza, I know you from like BYB and BKFC, or is it like a surprise almost, like they come to find it a bit later, like, oh, okay, that's another thing you're involved in?
So the good thing is now is that the algorithm is starting to pick up. So like as soon as you type in my name on Google or something, either all my fight stuff comes up or my real estate stuff comes up. So that's a good thing. So now whenever I'm working with any clients and stuff, sometimes they look me up before I can even you know, before I can even explain to them that I'm a pro fighter. They're just like, oh my God, you're a pro fighter too? This and that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. Just thought to touch on it, and yeah, just kind of noticed that it wasn't so much on my radar the last time that we talked. Maybe just slipped through the cracks a touch, but that's cool, man. Yeah, good to hear that you have that other endeavor you're involved in and everything. But I appreciate you coming on the show and making some time, man. It's always good getting your insights ahead of these different fights, but just being mindful of your time and schedule the rest of the day. I'm curious if maybe you have a final parting thought you'd like to add as we're sort of wrapping up here, Jomi.
No, I just appreciate it, man. I appreciate your time. Appreciate the platform that you give us, to come on here and talk about our lives and the fights. And just, prepare for war. February 2nd, it is going down for BKFC in Hollywood, Florida, at the Hard Rock Casino. It's going to go down. A lot of fights, stacked card. And the last 3 fights, the co-main event, the co-main event, is going to be fire. It's going to be fire, man. Big matchups in both weight classes, and expect two nasty performances.
Yeah, I mean, a lot going on at BKFC 57. Very excited for this Isaac Doolittle fight. I definitely think there's a lot of title ramifications for sure, or at the very least, a prominent spot in the division. So very exciting times, and just thanks for coming on Bare Knuckle Radio, man. Looking forward to peeping this fight when it goes down, but until then, you have a good rest of your day, Jomi. Thank you.
All right, brother. Take care, man. Be safe. Thanks for everything.
All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Radio, very excited to be talking to an individual competing at BKFC 57, which goes down on February the 2nd. We have Jomi Escoboza knuckling up and towing the line against Isaac Doolittle, and great getting to have Isaac on Bare Knuckle Radio. How's everything going, man? You having a solid day so far?
Oh yeah, my day just started.
Yeah, off to a good solid start then, I guess. But, I mean, interesting matchup here. I mean, I was quite intrigued when it initially came out. Like, in terms of when the bout agreement initially came your way, like, what was the timeline on all of that? Like, when did you initially find out about this Jomi Escoboza fight at BKFC 57?
Oh, I'd have to say we found out probably just a little bit before Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the more, experienced guys and whatnot, I mean, he has a certain level of BKFC experience, but collecting some BYB hardware before that and whatnot. I mean, I would imagine this was an opponent that you were acutely aware of when the bout offer came your way, I would think.
Yeah, I was looking more at Dyer, but I knew he was going to be a possibility, especially with him being 8-1. I don't think, there's nobody in our division that's got that pedigree. I think you'd have to look at either Hunt or Palomino to get something that close.
It's kind of interesting that you were eyeing the Dyer matchup. Was that just like a matchup that you thought would like present fireworks almost? I mean, obviously it represents upward mobility in the division and everything, but I guess I'm wondering if like maybe some sort of like discourse was happening towards that fight, or more just like a bout that you wanted to get locked in if you had your druthers, I guess.
I don't know about discourse. I'm not very good at establishing discourse, but he called me out when I first started in BKFC, and after every fight, he'd try to get to fight me, but he'd make fun of me. He'd do something. At one point, he photoshopped my head onto the Toy Story T-Rex, and I almost put that as my walkout shirt because it was just hilarious. So finally, he wisened up that wasn't really working, and I think it was when he knocked out Dakota Cochran. He called me handsome on national TV, and at that point, we had to fight.
Yeah, I mean, not to detract from this upcoming matchup per se, but I mean, I feel like that would be a matchup that would almost invariably happen, you would think, just in the sense of like both of you guys have been like ranked higher level light heavyweights for a while now. So is that a fight that you could see coming to fruition one day, just like based on the hierarchy in the division and everything?
Oh yeah, the BKFC hierarchy I don't put much stock in because I'm pretty sure they just draw names out of a hat and throw them on the board. So I'm here to fight. I'm not like most fighters. I don't put terribly much stock in the fighting. I'm here to have a good time, to fight. When fighting stops being fun, you're not going to see me in the ring anymore. But until then, you'll see me fight who I want to fight or who they want me to fight. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think anyone who's seen you fight can attest to that, and I mean, you could apply that to your whole BKFC career for sure, but I mean, even especially so with the last fight there against Jake Bostwick, like, I mean, it really comes across that this is something that both of you, even, I could extend that sentiment to Bostwick as well, just like very much enjoying the sport, deriving that fun out of it that you were talking about, as much as it's like a very physical endeavor. It seems like both of you guys get a lot of, I guess, like creative expression and just enjoyment out of doing that. Was that something that you felt came across in that Bostwick fight there? I mean, that was a barn burner for everyone who checked that out at BKFC 38, but just curious to get your perspective, being that you were one of the participants.
Oh yeah, Bostwick was a really fun one because he didn't back down. Another you can see it from Vespi's photos. Me and Warren, we're half of the time we're smiling or laughing, or I was cracking jokes halfway through, and he started cracking jokes the last three rounds. So we're all in there for good fun. Everybody who I don't understand fighters' mentality of they don't belong in the ring with me. They've put just as much work as I have. Most of them have been at this longer than I have with striking, because I was a grappler.
Analytical with every single fight, any opponent, which, I mean, that's like a classic talking point that always exists in fighting. So it seems like you're just very grounded and analytical with every single fight, and just, yeah, not really trying to like diminish other people's efforts and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, good mentality to have, it would seem like.
Yeah, because you can look at it and everybody's putting in the same amount of work. We're all at the top level. Don't overlook anybody. That's why I've never understood Mike Perry. Nobody belongs in the same ring with me. I'm the best. No, you're not. There's always somebody bigger, badder, and meaner.
And I know we were just kind of talking about the light heavyweight hierarchy and more like the rankings in general not really being the most rock solid, which even as a rankings panelist, I definitely have my own frustrations and perceptions with that. But I mean, just to say that it seems like the light heavyweight ranks are in kind of a state of flux in a way at this point. Like, it seems like the lineal champion Lorenzo Hunt is perhaps looking to maybe pursue heavyweight gold and things of that nature. Like, it just seems like there would be a lot going on in the division now, like maybe whereby a new champion would be coming in and some bigger matchups kind of happening. Is that something you pay any attention to, or similar to what we were talking about before, where it's like fight by fight, I'm doing this to have fun and I don't get preoccupied in the quote-unquote politics of like where the division is, where the title is at, etc.?
The only extension that I put for the ranking system is Jared Warren just won the British title, which means that he's kind of, on everybody's guns, and Dyer has fought him twice. First one was a victory. Second one was almost a victory. But he'll get a third shot because I think he's the only one who's really beaten Warren. I beat Warren on points. I don't really count that. Dyer actually stopped him. So I think Dyer will get another shot at that belt. And if I can beat Jomi, that puts me on a shot for the belt for America. And then we can have a British versus American fight with me and Dyer.
No, see, I like that idea. It makes a lot of sense. And, I mean, yeah, that would be a great fight. And, I mean, a great way to lay it out, as you kind of alluded to there. But, I mean, we were talking about just some of the dynamics in your previous fights. I feel like this is kind of the story with a lot of these different fights. I mean, you mentioned the Dyer t-shirt joke about you having the T-Rex arms and stuff like that. But, I mean, I think this upcoming Jomi Escoboza fight is literally the biggest kind of reach deficit you've had, quote-unquote. I mean, like 10 inches less, I think, was the metric that I saw on the BKFC website there. But, I mean, it seems like you've got the consistent sort of strategy in play. That being said, though, like just the classic, like, bully them, get in tight, and kind of like crowd them. Is that still like the predominant idea heading into this fight? Like how you see it playing out just with like that aforementioned reach deficit and all?
Oh yeah, BKFC expounds my reach. They've had it anywhere from 67 to 69, and a lot of my sparring partners have 65 to 67 inch reach, and they all have longer arms than I do. Mine's around 63 to 64. I'm going up against a guy who's got almost 80 inch reach. Jay Jackson had like a 74. Jared Warren had a 77. It's been a consistent theme, and any other strategy is, well, it just doesn't make sense. Let's put it that way. I've had plenty plenty of boxing coaches try to teach me traditional boxing, and I get my face blown apart because, well, I can't hit the other guy.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely, found a way for sure. And we were talking before about just the fun that comes with some of these different fights, and just that Bostwick fight as, I mean, a few opponents for sure, like people that have kind of, brought it and brought that exciting style. It seems like with a guy like Jomi Escoboza, as much as he does have that reach and that ability to kind of dictate the range and counter-strike a bit, he also seems like a lankier, kind of rangier guy that also really likes to force the issue and encroach forward at certain points too. So I guess in that spirit of talking about, fun matchups and stoking your competitive fires in that sense, does Jomi Escoboza really fit that bill? I mean, I think on paper a lot of people see this as something that could very well be fight of the night and all.
Oh yeah. The great thing about fighting and bare knuckle and all of it in general is it's kind of like chess. You always have to come up with a different strategy for somebody. It doesn't matter if it's the same strategy with a little bit of different details. Jomi presents a big problem because he's got that beautiful jab. He's got that ability to angle around. If you look at his footwork, he is a boxer at heart. Just by how he steps, by how he shifts, by how he rotates his shoulders. So that's going to be really fun. Figuring a way to get in past that jab, past that cross, because he's very clean, he's very crisp with it. All of his stuff, trying to get past it. It's going to be fun to figure it out. It's going to be a working puzzle on the go.
And I mean, it seems like a big card to be on too. Not that I would think that you would be particularly one way or the other about that necessarily, but I mean, just a big event with it being that Luis Palomino, Austin Trout card, and it seems like you guys are positioned quite highly on the event. And I guess even just kind of kicking off the year somewhat early with it being February 2nd, I feel like that could also facilitate a pretty active 2024 if that's what you were looking at too.
Hello?
Oh, hey, sorry, I don't know what happened there. I was just saying that I would think that a card this big, like the Palomino-Trout fight, and just with it being earlier in the year, I would think that would facilitate a pretty active 2024 if that's what you were looking for.
I've given up on activity. Every time that I'm ready to fight, BKFC tells me that I have a fight next month, and it never coalesces, so I don't put much stock in that.
That's kind of, I mean, I guess how much you want to pull back the curtain. What do you think the situation is with that? Because, I mean, we've done a few interviews over the years ahead of these different fights, and I feel like I've mentioned similar ideas different times to you, and you've had similar responses. And I feel like that's kind of like a issue that's affected certain BKFC fighters also, just that lack of activity that they're looking for. What do you think that is from your vantage point? Is it something you have any understanding of, or is it kind of like a nebulous sort of thing and you're just I'll focus on what's within my control, I guess?
Well, if you look at it from a purely clinical standpoint, it's all about ticket sales. People like me, people like Jared Warren, we're not going to bring in as much tickets as Mendez, as Alvarez, as Perry. So they're going to try and fight their big name fighters that bring in all of the tickets. The thing that it's you're in promoting to make money, not to showcase fighters. So if those fighters can bring in ticket sales, they're going to get more fights. I've never been really a big ticket seller, just A, from the area I've been, B, the places that I have been have had more established fighters, so when they're on the card, they get all the ticket sales. So, and then when they're not on the card, I'm usually out of state, and I'm from the Midwest. We're not exactly the richest people. They're not traveling.
Yeah, it's just a bummer because, I mean, I get it. It's not like I'm being obtuse to it, but I mean, you're a guy that's had a barn burner every single time you've knuckled up and towed the line. And I mean, past instances of, competing with an ACL and MCL tear. I mean, I don't know. You'd hope that fighters like that would be able to get more consistent bookings. But yeah, not being obtuse to the, I guess, promoter mindset component too. Just kind of a bummer because, I mean, I feel like a lot of people would want to see, fighters the caliber of Isaac Doolittle competing consistently throughout the calendar year. And I'm sure there's some other BKFC fighters that could, get that similar credit as well, too.
Oh, yeah, there's bunch of people that deserve more fights than they get. But beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's what we were kind of talking about before, like, I guess focusing on just what's with your control. I guess that's something that would behoove you in a situation like that, perhaps.
Yeah, I feel bad for a lot of the fighters who they've invested everything into this. This is their sole identity, and so when they don't get those fights, when they're stretched out, this is their avenue of money. B, that starts to wear on the psyche. I've got hobbies, I've got other endeavors and business stuff that keep me afloat in between times, so it's not near as bad for me.
Yeah, you've always struck me as like a pretty multifaceted kind of guy. Like, what are you getting up to as of late that's particularly getting you excited in terms of just even like business endeavors or just things like hobbies or interests that are outside of fighting that are intriguing you right now?
Oh, I work for myself. I run a massage business that I build my clientele on. I also do beard and soaps, and then I do custom carpentry, and I do construction. There's a whole mess of stuff. Anything that I can do with my hands, I pretty much do. So I make money in a lot of ways.
Have you ever gotten like particularly banged up from any of your fights where you couldn't, I guess, as effectively utilize your hands in some of these other outside business endeavors, or has that not really been a hindrance you've found?
I mean, I actually hadn't had almost any lasting injuries until Richmond and Bostwick. I messed my right hand up a little bit on Richmond and made it worse with Bostwick. But with a lot of basically self-induced physical therapy, I've put the bones back into place for the most part. But now, generally, you can either compensate with something else. Like, instead of using my fingers, I'll use the palm of my hand to work on people. There's always a way around it if you're committed enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great mentality, but I mean, I'm also talking to a guy who burst his small intestines during like a past smoker kickboxing fight and whatnot and kind of kept trying to find a way. So, I mean, you're a resilient guy, it seems like, but a great mentality for sure, though, man.
If you want to do it, do it. There is no excuse.
No, it's an awesome message, man. It could very well even be a good sort of parting thought, but just wanted to put the ball in your court to see if maybe there was something that you wanted to mention that hasn't been touched upon as of yet. Just maybe any final parting thought you had as we're sort of wrapping up here, Isaac.
No, nothing I can think of. Just, I thank my sponsors that have been supporting me, from Get Shit Done Coffee and Unbreakable Strength, Defense Midwest, the likes.
Yeah, for sure, and just what a great fight. I'm really excited for this Jomi Escoboza throwdown. A great card with BKFC 57 overall, but this fight definitely standing out for February 2nd. And just thanks so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Radio, Isaac. Some great insights, as always, and looking forward to checking out this fight when it goes down. But until then, you have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.